It's good to have you back.
Debatable.
Yeah.
I listened every week.
Yeah. We'll see about that later on.
Every week. This is A Few Good Fights, proudly brought to you by the MMA Movement. I am your host, who is back, Noel O'Keefe, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts, Robert Palin and Sean Taylor. This week we've Chuck Mindenhall on, who discusses Jon Jones' latest charge. This time it's alleged battery. We also look at Jorge Masvidal. Is he too big for Conor McGregor? We look back at UFC San Antonio. We break down UFC 240. We educate young Sean, and we've Sean's weird and wonderful news. This is the big MMA news. I'm delighted to say we are once again joined by The Athletic and the man in the mid's own, Chuck Mindenhall. So Chuck, thanks a million for taking the time once again to come on to A Few Good Fights.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
A good bit of news actually this week. It's been quiet for a while, but a good bit. But we'll start at UFC San Antonio. We'll have a little bit of the fallout in Leon Edwards. He cruised to victory against Javier Dos Anjos and, as expected, called out Jorge Masvidal. But before we get into the madness that is that, what did we think of Edwards' performance against Dos Anjos?
Well, it's funny, man, because for a guy like that in a big spot like this, there was one side of me that thought, if he goes in there and he has a very emphatic showing, in other words, he goes in there and finishes RDA, first round, second round, makes some kind of declaration, gets on the mic and makes his call out for Masvidal. I thought that might actually pay big dividends for him, just given the timing of it. With Masvidal so hot in the news and everything else, I thought that might actually be a big thing for him. But it didn't quite play out like that. But it was the next best thing in a strange way, because for anybody, a diehard like us, like people who really watch it, that was a fairly masterful performance, I thought, man. I mean, he showed so much in that fight, man. And, to me, the guy, I feel like we still are uncovering just how good he is. You know what I mean? And I thought that was on display for 25 minutes for the North American audience, who hasn't maybe had a chance to truly take in a lot of his action and what he does well. So I felt like it was a good showcase for him. It could have possibly went better if he had got a finish, let's say in the third round, like where he showed that, but he also just got the finish and made the call out. But I thought he did just about everything right. I'm not sure, though, it will translate into a title shot. Of course, he seemed to kind of come into that knowledge himself, like he understood that. But the best case scenario for him is that they listen to that Masvidal fight and maybe get something like that set up. I could see that happening ultimately. But right now, obviously, Masvidal's kind of poo-pooing that idea.
It's a real weird one, isn't it? Because like what I find with him is that he puts on the performances that, as you said, like we would love, and it's kind of a well-rounded performance. We see a lot of things, but the casual fans or the people who just tune in, for the 3-piece and the soda or whatever, it's not really the performances they want to see. And I'm not sure what that performance done for him, even though it was against a really good guy. It's almost like if he went in and got a first round finish, maybe we would have been like, what can he really do against a top contender? Because we don't know. But now we do know. But still, he hasn't really jumped or broke through the glass ceiling almost.
I agree with you, man. And it doesn't help that RDA is a guy who just personally can't move the needle himself. I think he's a very quiet guy, very unheralded and underrated. And so to beat a guy like that, who you can appreciate as a fighter, but doesn't have that, that bigness that some of the other names in the division might have, doesn't help the situation. You know what I mean? I just, for a guy like Leon Edwards, I think that him just getting out there, using that microphone more, and obviously it helps to have that backstory. He should play that up. As much as he can with Masvidal, what happened in London, backstage, all that stuff. He's doing it right, man. It's just he's at a very strange time with the ESPN and everything else, that deal going on. And, here's Masvidal coming off a 5-second destruction of Ben Askren, which was a high-profile fight. It had a lot of psychological elements to it, and it's getting played on like ESPN Sports Center here in America just on a loop. I had people talking to me about that 5-second knockout who don't pay any attention to the sport, and so it's one of those situations like we are dealing in a new UFC. We're dealing with a new perception, a new fan base, a new sort of set of desires for what kind of fights we want to see and all that stuff. So where he fits into that, I feel like we're still figuring out. You know what I mean?
One thing I did think was great was the call out. Do you think that is the right fight that they should make next?
I would love it, man. Honestly, See, I was talking to Sean El-Shadi about this, my partner at the podcast. We were talking about. It's funny. I don't know. Like Masvidal's at a point right now where I think he's at his high water mark. Like he's been around the game for a decade. People have known him, but he's always been kind of more of a B side. And right now he's switched over, like a rare conversion late in the career, into the A side. People are paying attention to his personality. You could see how he might want to capitalize on that with a big fight, like the biggest moneymaker he can get. Yeah. At this point, if you're going to be finicky and you're going to do it, this is going to be that moment. But at the same time, man, if you look at it from any kind of reasonable standpoint, you think he doesn't really deserve to be fighting Leon Edwards, you know, in the end, like if you really look at it a different way. And you put those two factors together, and I'm like, yeah, you know, man, I would like to see it. I think that if Masvidal can't get the title shot, and obviously we'll know more about that coming up here, but if he can't get that and they don't think that he should fight Conor McGregor, I think that that's the logical next step. And I personally love to see it, man. I think that'd be a great fight.
It's weird because like when Masvidal won that last fight and you were talking about a title fight and everyone was like, no, he doesn't deserve it because he hasn't got enough wins. I was kind of like you. I was like, you know, he's at his most popular right now. You kind of should just pull the trigger on him. Just give it to him and let's see what happens. And then Leon Edwards wins and they were like, oh, Leon Edwards should get that fight. So you're almost contradicting yourself week after week. It's a weird game, like.
That's the game, right? Like because there's a fight every week, and basically it's a cloud of hysteria that follows the fight game. You know, the UFC's octagon everywhere. So it's like whatever happens latest is always the new hysteria in this game. So it's a different landscape. It's always been like that to an extent, but I think that the wide range now in which it's seen, how it seeps into casual life, how it seeps into the other sports world, and how, you know, casuals kind of jump in. The metrics are all very different, you know, how they gauge and who they're trying to attract. It's a different game, man. So, unfortunately, whoever bangs that gong along with the great fights, I think that those are the guys that ultimately will translate. But Leon Edwards, man, he's doing everything correct. That winning streak speaks for itself. And, man, I hope he does, whoever it is, I hope it's a big high-profile fight for him.
Just Masvidal did tweet, so I can be clear, I was promised a title shot after I beat Askren and I plan on cashing in on it. Don't call me out no more until I get that belt. # super necessary. Now my fear of that, Jorge, is he was promised something from Dana White. You know, that there lies the problem. The landscape in MMA changes, as you two were just saying there, from week to week. So when it changes, and promises go out the windows. Whatever seems to be the fight that makes sense now to Dana White at that time is the fight he makes. So, you know, if Dana White promised me that, and you know, I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. But yeah, like I think there's plenty of fights as well. If you look at Edwards, he had a little bit of back and forth with Darren Till when he was fighting Jorge Masvidal. There was a lot of I'm the best in the UK. So that's a fight potentially that makes sense as well. If he was to go out and put a display on against Darren Till, who's challenged for the title recently himself, I think that would be a big statement as well. And then there could be no denying him as the number one as well. So I think there's plenty of opportunities out there for him.
There's some good fights for him, man. Let's not forget, Dana White also promised you to jump off the Mandalay Bay if UFC 100 hit 1.5 million buys or whatever. So I always remember that. I always reference that. It's just you got to take all of that with a grain of salt, you know.
Talking about the new audience coming into the UFC, I think they would have been pleased with the two heavyweight fights that went down as the co-main event. Walt Harris returning back to the octagon takes out Olenek within 12 seconds. And it was weird when the fight started for me straight away. I didn't like Olenek's first attempt. He sort of reached down for the leg of Harris and was really slow at pulling it. It was almost like somebody, you know, had hit pause on him and kept going frame by frame. It was insanely slow, and it only took that moment for Harris to realise there's the opportunity for the flying knee. It didn't quite land, but the peekaboo around the corner looked when Olenek just set up the finish. Devastating finish and big win for Walt Harris.
It reminded me of when Cain Velasquez fought Big Nog. You know, you saw like an exchange right away, and whatever happened, and you could see the speed difference, like, and you're like, oh my God, he's gonna get hurt. I felt that right away in this fight. And Walt Harris, I mean, that's the kind of thing you want to do, right? If you're in a situation like that, obviously he's fighting a crafty guy who's been around, and if it does go to the ground, anything is possible. And I felt like he went out there with a sense of urgency, not to even play, you know, just to take care of business immediately. And You hate to see it, man. The guy's 42 years old, right? I mean, he's up there in age, and it's just one of those things like when you see guys in the octagon where that's really evident that they've slowed down, and you're kind of going off of the fumes of maybe some of their craftiness and things like that. I think that it's tough, man. It's tough, and I didn't like the way he landed. I know he hurt his knee, right? And it's just the way he landed and everything else is just you don't like to see that stuff.
He has 70 fights, according to Topology.
71. 71. That was his 71st fight, yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely insane. One that...
and I give it to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about that guy, but I just think that these are beasts, man.
Yeah,
like you see guys like Paul Harris, he's kind of more in the middle of the pack, and yet he's still packing that kind of wallop, man. You just don't want to see guys like that take too much damage as they go forward.
Juan Adams had called for this fight for a long time. He's seen himself as the judge's hammer in serving justice to Greg Hardy leading into this one. It appeared he had a really good week, in fairness. Like they were really pushing on the UFC. He was on the broadcast, sitting beside Woodley, making Woodley look like a toddler. But Juan Adams called for this fight, went for a single leg takedown, and as you said, that was the story of the fight.
You know, I've never had so much fun writing a piece. Actually, that was it was so weird to. It was. You tell me. I'm watching that thing, and you know, there was like some kind of thrill in the air that this guy was the right kind of antidote, basically, to the Greg Hardy situation. He was going to come in there, like you said, the hammer of justice. He was going to come in there, and he was going to. It meant something to kind of defend. You know, women and whatever else. Like he's going in there to do something and treat a bad guy badly, and. I had this feeling of, oh, here we go when they were bringing him in, and there was a couple of movements and a little exchange, and then that single leg, just kind of played out, just held on to it, and the punches start coming in. You're expecting him to either give up that that single leg and do something else, scramble, whatever, and he holds it, and I counted. I went through and it was 31 shots until it stopped, and I mean. Anticlimactic isn't even the word for something like that. It's just, but it's like being perplexed. You watch something like, what just happened? What just happened? The weirdest fight of all, man. And honestly, I felt like the UFC had this one right because I felt like they got a guy who could and should probably beat Greg Hardy given where he's at.
Yeah.
It felt like they were doing it in Texas, which is where Adams is from. So I felt like this was the right setup. It had doubt to the situation. A better martial artist going against him, and yet it played out in a way that just seemed very, like, un-UFC level,
Yeah.
So I tried to find the humor in it, man, but it was a weird fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't what I was expecting to see.
It was priced that way as well. Both guys were sort of around even money. Like it was priced to be a tough test for Greg Hardy as well.
Yeah, it was just a really bizarre fight, and you're right. It's like it didn't seem like a UFC fight, especially just the way he held onto the leg. And held onto the single leg. And you're like, is something going to happen here? No? Oh, it's over. Okay.
What did we think of his reaction? Storming out of the cage. And he has since apologised, it must be said.
Sure,
but
he probably hit someone with his gum shield.
Yeah, he gave Morgan no option. He wasn't intelligently defending himself. Lying there and, blocking hammer fists with your face isn't, a good tactic for defence. So he gave the referee, Daniel Morgan, no out. He had to stop it.
He really didn't give him an option. That's what was so puzzling about it. It's like, why hold this thing like when you're being warned? You could see Marigolata telling him like, hey man, fight back, do something, and he didn't. So he had no reason. Now I'm sure in the immediate aftermath, he's probably somewhat embarrassed by the way that fight ended, and I'm guessing that sort of emotion was the surge that made him act the way he did. I will say that I was glad to see upon further reflection he did. Basically apologize for storming out of there, but not a good look, man, because you're fighting the guy that you're supposedly the cast as the hero in, right? And to have it in that way and then act that way, the whole thing was, I felt like he was one of these weird stars at a cult level kind of emerging, and I feel like all that went away just like that. So, not the way that I think he wanted it to end, and that didn't help, man.
What would be next for Greg Hardy? At what point do you put him in there against somebody that the wider audience would actually know, and who was UFC skilled, I guess you could say?
You know, man, it's funny because at this point, what does he have, like 3 fights? 3 fights in the UFC that are official or something like that. And I know he lost the first one.
Yeah, DQ.
And it's one of those situations, man, I'm like, he's not ready for the big names, but a guy like Walt Harris, I mean, I know that he fought on the same card. I would be down to see something like that, obviously. Like, I think that that's a big-time upgrade. And he'd be going against a guy who can thump with him and all that stuff. And everybody was watching the exact same card with timing works, so everybody got a taste of what Walt Harris can. Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
In that range of quality. I mean, they can't protect him because they kind of have been. This one, I felt like they were putting him out, made him a little more vulnerable. And I think that would be the right step in escalation. Somebody like that, a guy who can thump with him, but obviously is not like a world beater. People have the book on how to beat Walt Harris, so it's maybe something like that.
Just a shout out before we move on, we want to cover a few different things. Got to give a shout out to Andrei Arlovsky. He's got to be on the 3rd start of his career, if not crazy. More. The Pitbull, what a career he's had, and he's changed gym. He's in out of ATT now as well, and he just. It's almost like every time you see him, you go, his chin's gone, and then all of a sudden, his chin is back. You're like, what's because you always say once your chin goes, your chin goes. Right. Arlovsky is the argument against this.
I don't know, man. I wasn't expecting him to do that. And honestly, I honestly thought that this would be because he's had multiple reality checks. I feel like we keep going through this situation with him where we send him out on the ice flow, and then he comes back, he shows up at the door again, ready to go. And this is one of those situations where, this was a rematch. I kind of liked it from a nostalgic sense, but it didn't make a lot of sense otherwise. I felt like it was just them throwing Arlovsky a bone to kind of give him one last chance. Not only does he, he took a couple shots, and he was able to kind of go through them, but he also just pieced Rothwell up, man. Yeah. I mean, it was a clinic, I didn't see it coming. I just feel like he's one of those guys, he must be really, really driven by his haters, you know what I mean? He must find the motivation in him to reinvent himself and keep doing this, because not many people, you follow the fight game like I do, man. There just aren't too many people who can look diminished, come back, have a win streak, and then look diminished, and then come back and do this. I mean, it's the most bizarre career possible. But kudos to him, man, for finding it in him to have that kind of performance in him at this point.
The fan of me would love to see a rematch with Fedor.
Yeah.
I would absolutely. I would love to see that now. At this stage, both of them in their careers.
I just vividly remember watching Andrei Arlovsky fight Tim Sylvia in one championship at like 1 o'clock in the day at one time, and it was laughable. And then to say in 10 years he'd be fighting the UFC, you're like, what the hell? Yeah.
Well, if they're gonna, I mean, I don't know. Is he even a needle mover? I feel like they've been kind of just putting him on these cards as filler, not but as an added attraction.
Yeah,
they've been sticking him in these. If they can find him guys like Ben Rothwell, or these guys who are sort of have similar in their twilight, brands within the industry. If they can find those guys and stick them with them, more power to him, man. I mean, it's fun to watch him fight. Mm-hmm. He can knock people out, and when he suddenly shows up with an improved skill set, I'm like, I'm kind of intrigued. You just want to see how long he can keep going with this thing.
Moving on from the card, and a certain Jon Jones has allegations against him again. This time it's battery of a waitress in a strip club. So apparently, again, allegedly, he grabbed the waitress, put her on her lap, gave her a few kisses, and then put her in a chokehold. Now Jones is being active on Twitter, saying, no, these are absolute false, fabricated allegations. But isn't it at the stage, for me, Chuck, when I read this, I was like, it's completely believable because of the past.
100%, man. And what is the old saying? The old saying is the old adage of no good happens after 2:30 or whatever. If you're out at the closing of bar times and stuff like that, there's a reason bad things kind of happen. I feel like this is kind of similar. Jon Jones has been in multiple situations. He's had a party problem, so to speak. And he ends up in a situation like this. Now, the first part is, do you believe he was actually at the strip joint or whatever? And you're like, of course he was doing that. Of course he was out. To what extent, the accusations and everything, I guess that's the part you have to play out. But My point is he still seems to have the same mindset he has always had, and I think that's the weirdest thing about Jon Jones is this perpetual contrite. I've changed. I praise God, I've had to go through so much, and here I am, and then he does it again, like something. There's always going to be something, and I think it's really strange the way he's carved himself back out over this last 6 months to a year, and his return with all these fights he's just had. He's been basically kind of trying to have his cake and eat it too, in the sense of, he talks about being contrite, essentially, about what he's done and learning from it. But at the same time, he always adds like, hey man, he's still going to go out and have a good time. He's still going to, smoke weed. He's still going to do these things. He's going to drink. It's like he's raising his red flag, but he's kind of celebrating his red flag at the same time. And we've somehow went with him because the bottom line is he's Jon Jones. You just know that that's his personality. But I'm with you. I saw that news, I think, late last night. And my first thought was, oh, my God, not again. Here we go again. This guy just can't. It's like he loses his filter or something. He just gets into trouble. Now, obviously, we'll wait and see how he's out. I don't want to, malign him. But I'm, at the same malign him beyond whatever he does to himself. But this seems very in keeping with Jon Jones' trajectory.
When I seen the news, it brought Gareth A. Davis was sitting with Jon Jones recently, and he asked him a question saying, are you a good guy who does bad things, or are you a bad guy who's trying to be good? And Jones really sat back and thought about it, and he said, I'm a bad person trying to be good. And he's like, I think we all are. We're all sinners. And he went down that route. But it just stood out to me, that Gareth A. And because I was like, Jesus, the balls on Gareth A. Davis asking that question. But it was a good question. But Jones answered it that he was bad trying to be good.
I'm cool with Jones being a bad guy. Just go away with all this God stuff, man. If you're going to be that bad guy, do you know what I mean?
I'm cool with being a bad guy, but not strangling women.
I know,
in strip clubs.
I know.
Yeah, if it's true.
Stuff. So you get into the details of that, and that's what's disturbing, right? And then that also seems like, because then they say he was doing shots. I mean, this sounds like he could have been drunk, and who knows? I have no idea the real situation, but you hear those types of details and you think, come on, man! And especially a guy who's been in that much trouble. And where are the handlers? I'm always like, where are the people around him who should be? If he is that guy and people know him and they care about him, where are the people who are trying to check him, or is he just incorrigible? Is he one of those guys who just will not hear it? You know what I mean? Keeps people at arm's length. There's just a lot of things like that about Jon Jones. It sucks in a way, man, because I feel like he could have been right now, without a question, like the Michael Jordan of the sport. I mean, there wouldn't even be a question of it, right? He would just be the guy who every endorsement deal, millions and who knows, untold millions of dollars he could have had. It's bizarre that he does this to himself. Puts himself in these positions.
Even if it didn't happen, either way, if it happened, it's horrible. But what I find very weird about Jon Jones is his complete lack of self-awareness. He's done plenty of stuff we know is to be true. The hit and run stuff, all that thing. And then when something like this comes up and people go on Twitter and say, oh my God, Jon Jones is at it again, he almost acts surprised that people believe it. He's like, how can people believe this? It's because you've done all this other stuff.
Jon Jones needs to marry an Irish woman, because an Irish woman hears you've been in a strip club, you're in serious trouble. Never mind the rest of the story. What were you doing in a strip club? He needs to marry an Irish girl. That's what he needs.
Well, the truth is, I do think about that, man, as a family man, who talks about family a lot. He ends up in these situations, and I'm like, how does he explain that away to, I think about it on a personal level like that. I'm like, how does he, forget about the public, how does he explain it at home? It's just,
it's bizarre.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, what are we on, chance 300 for Jon Jones? We've been forever kind of just whatever. And it's the fight game. I'm not, these aren't angels, but I'm the thing is, I guess what bothers you is the amount of time he spends on answering questions in such a way that he's basically, contrite, moving on, embracing these holy elements, he's basically telling you these things, but then it becomes lip service, right? It becomes lip service when he gets into trouble the next time. So you hope if it's a substance issue, honestly, man, you hope at some point he understands that. There has to be some clarity. And I'm not sure if this thing stands and he gets in trouble and he does any jail time, which I don't know how that'll work, but because this is a misdemeanor, right? It was some kind of, I don't think it was a felony.
No,
but you hope there's clarity at some point, like true clarity, where he realizes I shouldn't be putting myself in those positions. I speak from I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, man. Like everybody does dumb things, but I'm like, for a guy like that who's just under that kind of scrutiny, and the UFC has given him so many chances, everything else, and I know they have to because he's a moneymaker. But I'm like, you want him to have that self-awareness. You want him to have a sense of that, like that's real, not like him just telling you that. But it's something that, like, a self-awareness that's actually, like, he believes it. He understands what he's seeing.
I remember he first came on the scene, when Jon Jones first came on the scene, and he was talking about he used to go up the mountains and meditate. And then remember he helped the woman who was getting mugged, and everyone was like, this guy's an angel. And Rashad Evans came out and was like, you ain't the story you tell.
Yeah.
He's
but I think as well, I remember an interview, and I think you're right, Chuck, if he did say at one point, I'm 99% sure that he said, my partying and my drinking and all this was a problem, but I'm still doing it. So, like, that is a bit rough.
He told Milani, I think it was like an in-studio. Like I remember the interview because I was like, wow, there was a growth in the admission of it. There was like a growth, some kind of something of actually confessing, like, hey, man, I'm still who I am. I'm still doing what I was doing, but I've got it under control. It's not a problem, and that sort of thing, which also could be a red flag in itself, because a lot of people who have problems, will say that stuff. But I felt like him admitting that he's not the angel he's tried to present was the first big step to everything. Yeah. So I just feel like it's kind of a broken record at this point. And I don't know, man. The bottom line is, from a sporting standpoint, I don't want him getting in trouble, because I'm tired of that belt, like becoming a very complicated thing to figure out. So from that alone, I'm like, come on, Jon Jones, get your stuff together here.
Yeah. Let's push through a few quick ones here just before we let you go. A match made in heaven for a lot of MMA fans. Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Justin Gaethje have been matched. This is the one that you sit down, you say a prayer to the MMA gods, and you say, please protect both fighters and let them make it to the cage. Yeah. What a fight.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%, man. That's the kind of fight, like, you're like, ooh, there are very few fights where you just know there's so little regard for their own human property. Like, they're just going to go in there and loot each other, It's like, and I mean, it's a little weird to say that, because we just saw Donald Cerrone take on a lot of damage, at least superficial damage in that fight with Ferguson. And it's a little sadistic to want to see him go in there against a guy like Gaethje next. But I have to hand it to that dude, man. Like, there's just nobody who is as willing to fight these guys who are nobody. I feel like a guy like Ferguson, now Gaethje, back to back, like, that's a ridiculous ask, right? And to go in there and I don't know, just no hesitation, short notice, all that stuff. I'm like, my admiration for Donald Cerrone has only grown over the years, but I think it's at its all-time high right now, just because that guy is such a badass in how he conducts himself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fighters.
Gaethje, man, so that should be a good fight.
I think a lot of fighters say anyone, anytime, but Donald Cowboy Cerrone, when he says it, he means it.
Yeah, I've seen people go both ways on this one as well, because a work colleague of mine, when they saw it was announced, they actually went, "Oh," like almost like, I'm kind of scared of this fight. It's kind of.
I said it and have a little bit of that.
Yeah,
I had a little bit of that where you're like, and then it gets overtaken by, like, oh my God, can you imagine how this fight will go down? You know what I mean? So it's a complicated fight a little bit, but as long as Cerrone is checked out and he feels good, man, I'm like, that we know he shows up for fights like this, so I'm all about it.
Man, I think he counters Gaethje. Do you know what it reminds me? When I get these stupid things when I see things. The Rick Story fight jumped into my mind when I seen this. For whatever reason, very different fighter to Gaethje, but I just thought this is the type Cowboy can use, and he uses footwork, uses angles, change, and uses Gaethje's momentum and aggression against him. And strike like that.
Punish that aggression. You're exactly right.
I just think it's a phenomenal fight.
I said to Rob off air earlier, I was like, I don't need to see no press conference. I don't need to see no media day. Just let me know when it's on, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch it. That's all I need.
It's a great. And it sells itself. I mean, anybody, and those guys have the types of names. Like, if we're talking about that casual eyes, they translate. I think at this point, both those guys. All you have to do is have some B-roll, like show some footage. It's sold. You know.
We'll let you go on this one because we know you have to go. Dana White has ruled out Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor, stating that Masvidal is too big for McGregor. Is Dana White goating Conor McGregor?
So this fight's happening?
No. It sounds like it with Dana.
I know where he's coming from a little bit, but I don't entirely buy that, man. Masvidal has fought like a lot of his career at 155. I mean, have it at 155, and Conor McGregor. You guys know, man, Conor's a big guy, so I don't buy that, man. I think that if they want to make that fight, it makes sense. And let's put it this way too. Like, I know that the size would be a little bit of an issue, but at the same time, Masvidal. The people who know how to beat Masvidal, like there have been plenty of people who beat Masvidal. I know a lot of split decisions and stuff, but I feel like Conor McGregor is very smart. He would know how to fight a guy like Masvidal, and to me that would be very compelling theater, is to put those two guys in the same cage. I think that if they really want to make it, they can. I don't really truly buy the too big for McGregor type argument.
Yeah.
Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, giving us your time. You're going off to record, so let the people know as well where they can find you. Obviously at the Athletic, but there's a lot of the new podcast with yourself as well. So just let the people know where they can find you.
Well, I'm on Twitter at Chuck Mindenhall, and I basically post anything that's coming up through the Athletic on that feed. But just go to the Athletic MMA page, and it's pretty populated with all of our great writers, man. It's a good crew over there, doing really good work. And now we've got a couple of podcasts, including Josh Gross's new one, Gross Point Blank. So, go check it out. It's one-stop shopping, man. It's completely worth it.
It's excellent.
I have to say, because I've been away, I wasn't here when the guys were talking about the Athletic move and stuff like that, and I thought, I can't remember exactly who tweeted, but someone was like, why would we pay for content? And the response was, well, you buy papers and magazines, don't you?
Yeah.
You should be buying the quality of writing that's there. You should be signing up.
Awesome.
So we can't recommend it enough. But as always, Chuck, thank you, my man, for your time once again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Cheers.
So in other news this week, an anniversary was hit for definitely the biggest night in Irish mixed martial arts. It was UFC Fight Night 46, McGregor Brandao.
I thought you were going to say we started the podcast.
No.
Anniversary. No. That was close to.
No. McGregor Brandao went down this night, and why it was so special was there was 6 Irishmen on the card, one adopted in Gunny Nelson, and we went 6-0. So this was really, for me, it was huge. It was a famous moment where Conor in cage said, "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over."
Yeah.
An insane night for Irish mixed martial arts, and the maddest thing about it was I backed Norman Park by second round TKO.
Yeah,
you had a fucking great night.
Yeah.
Out of all the bets,
but I had all the Irish lads in an accumulator, including
Gunny 6-0.
Yeah.
What were the odds on that? Can you remember?
Can't remember.
I say it was paying big.
But
A lot of people were doing that bet, and I was terrified to do it because I didn't want to put the mockers on it. Genuinely. But I remember, like, the UFC went absolutely insane. It was one of the craziest events. The noise, the decibels, everything. I remember Ariel Owani doing an interview with what's his name? He was with Joe at the time. He's with MacLife Blaff. I'm sorry, I can't remember his first name. Anyway, and he's interviewing him. He's saying he actually is a music journalist more so. And he's been at so many venues, and the decibels were higher at the UFC. Like, the atmosphere was fucking
electric,
insane. From the first fight, Paddy Hewlin was the first fight.
Oh, they knew what they were doing,
and the arena was absolutely jammed. Neil Seary put on a phenomenal performance. Oh, it was unbelievable.
You couldn't have wrote it any better. And even like the
Cal Pendred got absolutely
fight,
hammered in the first round,
hammered into the mat, and then come back.
And Goddard spoke about he only let the fight go because he knows Cal Pendred. Then came back, got the choke. Steroid, Mike King.
I'm not even sure how he got that choke. Yeah, he must have a squeeze on him.
And was even when you look at because when you forget, I was watching a couple of the fights back there on UFC Fight Pass over the weekend, and it was Paddy was actually defending a armbar from Zambo, and then got his back and got the choke.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Then he done the Robbie Keane celebration.
Yeah. And actually, there was an incredible article, as they always are, by Pete Carroll on ESPN.
Yeah,
about this card.
Yeah, it was good.
And he was talking about Gunny and Conor were upstairs in the changing room feeding off the energy, and when the wins were coming in, they were screaming and shouting, getting all excited, but they could hear Dana White next door screaming even louder because he was thinking, "Cha-ching, fucking hit the market here."
Thanks for the cheese, baby.
But it was the real night that Irish MMA really hit the map.
It was a coming out party,
and it was the real start of McGregor
mania
because McGregor was big in Ireland. And he got good call in the UFC, as in
the Holloway fight was before that, right?
Yeah, So
so they done a good promotional push for him for that, because that was in Boston. They done the whole remember he went to the gym.
But and they went
the interview then in Cage went so viral as well. The line was just so perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. And then
So
Paddy had a
perfect.
great one as well. Dan Hardy said to him, what are you going to do?
A
I'm
cup
going
of
to
tea.
have a cup of
Classic,
tea.
yeah.
That was in our opening credits of
Yeah,
an old
it was.
podcast. That
It
was the
was,
Fight Talk. We
Need to
used
get
to
a
have
cup of
that.
tea.
And then
That was a
Ireland, we
great
did
one.
it, baby.
Yeah.
It was the end of it. But it was a phenomenal night. Neil Seary put on a great display. Norma Park got the win. Gunny was in trouble and in the first round started slow and got into it. But it was an incredible night. And we actually have a couple of... me and Rob were in attendance at this show.
Didn't know each other.
Didn't know each other then. Yeah, that's
Did you not?
crazy. No.
No.
So, my story is actually quite funny because I was working with Infusion Ireland.
Those lads, yeah.
And with Infusion, Gunnar Nelson and stuff attended the venue, and they were doing like a UFC embedded for Gunnar Nelson, and I was running the Infusion Ireland Twitter page, and they messaged asking could they use footage. So I had to go to Infusion and say UFC want to use the footage or whatever, and weirdly a man was like, yeah, no problem, but they don't want my logo on it. Like, you don't want your logo on the biggest fight promotion in the world. Okay, but whatever. Anyway, so I got talking with the people from the UFC saying,
We got
yeah,
some
no
great
problem,
exposure
whatever.
from that.
But I happen to say at the time Tyrone Spong was over doing seminars here. King Cowley and I was bringing Tyrone Spong around the country doing seminars and gyms, and I happened to say, oh, by the way, Tyrone Spong's over here and he'd love to attend the UFC on Saturday night, and they hooked Spong up with tickets for him and his entourage. And even though I organised it, I asked a blunt question. I didn't get one of the tickets to go, and only at 4:30 that morning, the Prince, Lara Bourne, rang me at 4:30 that afternoon and said, are you dressed? I'm like, no, I'm in my shorts getting ready to watch the UFC. And he was like, get dressed, we're going to the UFC. And I went downstairs, jumped into the lad's car, we drove out to the Tree Arena, and I sat cage side as a guest of Tyrone Spong.
That's unreal. My story's pretty good as well.
Go.
Went on Ticketmaster and bought a ticket.
Excellent.
Went.
But I couldn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
That's the mad thing.
Yeah, it was.
I couldn't get a ticket.
No,
so I tried to buy a ticket, couldn't get a ticket.
I went with three lads. Carl was there, and we all tried at the same time. Only one of us actually got in, so we just got the tickets there and then. Like,
now, because I was with Spong, I got sat in the VIP section with all fighters and stuff like that.
As you can see on the screen, Forrest Griffin.
So there's Forrest Griffin choking me out, one of the coolest dudes in the world. Gave so much time to like me and all other fans around him, just sitting talking or whatever. Lara Bourne's young lad was sitting with him and Cub Swanson all day. Fucking sound bloke.
He didn't even ask for that picture.
He's pissed off. He said, "Go and get me a point." He said, "Fuck you," when he put me in a rear naked choke.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Next one.
That's me, obviously, and the legend that is.
So who's trying to get in the picture there?
I don't know who that is. It's just some bloke
trying to jack your picture.
Jack the picture, yeah. But Liddell was class. The funny story about Chuck Liddell is like I've only ever been really like starstruck twice in my life. That's one of them, and the other one was when I met Eric Cantona. But when I met Chuck, this is the first time. This is before McGregor fight and all. But I was sitting in like row 3 or something, row 4, and Liddell, he was getting hounded. Like every time he came out, he was getting hounded for pictures and stuff. So he was there with his wife and his kids. So because he got hounded the first time, he just went backstage for the whole night basically. So I just sat in Chuck Liddell's seat. But when Conor McGregor started to walk out comes Liddell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Chuck. And I got up to get over his seat, and he went, no, stay where you are. So I kneeled down, like, you know, on one knee in front of Chuck Liddell, with Chuck Liddell, his arm on my shoulder, watching the fight. Have you ever watched Chuck Liddell watch a fight?
Yeah, it looks like he's
He throws every punch and whatever. So when McGregor
it looks like he's getting
down,
flashbacks.
Yeah, when he does.
He does,
when,
like legit.
When he knocked down, when McGregor knocked down Brandao and finished him, I Chuck Liddell squeezing my shoulder and fucking whatever.
So he got choked out by Forrest.
You tapped out.
But when this is the best part of my whole story. When Conor McGregor finished TKO Diego Brandao, I hugged Chuck Liddell as celebration. That's what was my celebration, was hugging Chuck Liddell.
Class.
That's phenomenal. And then the last picture is me and the gaffer. Me and the boss man, Lorenzo. I actually said to him that night.
Looks like Phil Campbell.
It does actually.
Not him though.
That's Ben Cartledge, is it? I said
we've seen photos of Phil from that night. It's not Phil.
Oh, there's me mate.
Iliar as well.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, I jokingly said to Lorenzo, I said the next time you are here, I'll be in the cage. And he went, oh, you're a fighter, eh? You only have to look at me to tell him I'm not a fighter. And I was like, no, I'm a ring announcer. And then it was just, oh yeah, great, whatever, dialed off. The next event held in MMA event held in the Tree Arena was Bama, and I was the ring announcer.
Deadly.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. How jacked is Lorenzo?
Oh man, he's a fucking shredded. You know when someone's jacking, you put your arm on him and it's like a concrete wall. Like that's what he was like. And it's really, really nice guy as well.
Yeah.
And what was brilliant about that was although I'm sitting where I was sitting, I was lucky enough. They were letting people in to meet the fighters, and the fighters were so accommodating to all the fans.
Yeah, they were very
and even
good,
the day before at the weigh-ins, it's phenomenal. And you don't see it in most sports, like how accessible their stars are.
Let me preface mine. Mine's way less glamorous. It's
poxy looking.
no one even took the photo of me. It's not intentional. I'm just in a photo. It was only at the UFC. Spot me. Someone spot me. Can you spot me, Sean? You haven't seen this yet.
No.
So I'm in the crowd somewhere.
Jesus. Oh, I see.
See it?
Yeah.
There he is. There.
Look
There
at
he
him.
goes. Look at that. Young Robert Palin. Yeah, I was just in the crowd. I've no great story.
Good stuff.
Just
You're fucking buzzing there. Look at you.
I was
Wait,
pissed.
do you reckon what fight do you reckon that's in and around? There's got to be an Irishman, hasn't
It's
it?
got to be an Irishman, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the fight. No? Is it
Oh,
McGregor fight?
McGregor Brandao?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that means it's
not
the fight.
event. Oh, right,
I think that means it's the fight. I don't know.
But what a night for Irish
It was
wasn't
fun,
it?
though.
The atmosphere wasn't it mental?
Jesus, man.
Just
That's
songs singing from every fight. The ole ole ole's, Fields of and Roy would go up. It was unbelievable.
None of this whistling shite in the crowd.
Yeah, none of it. And Norman Park got some reception.
He
And he
did, yeah.
spoke about that, and he still speaks about how he was welcomed that night.
Yeah.
And we were in one island that night,
Yeah.
as it should be. Unite and not have shite divide with us in sports. But phenomenal night for Irish mixed martial arts. But that is other news on the anniversary. But what a night!
yeah. Just one quick
Best
thing.
night of my life in fighting. Like,
Yeah, it was phenomenal. One quick thing. I don't know if you've seen this, but Ryan Bader is rumoured to fight the rising light heavyweight champion, Jiri Prokasia. I can't pronounce his name, but he's the guy who knocked out King Mo at not the last Rising event, but the last really big Rising event. And they're going to fight for, I guess, the Rising light heavyweight title at Rising 21 on New Year's Eve. I like Bellator and this cross promotion thing with Rising. I think it's fun.
KSW, our good friend Martin Ledwanski was saying he will happily. That just to confirm, he's not a gangster.
No, he just
he's
looks like
he's
a gangster.
He's
Yeah,
cool, like
yeah.
just people are going. He's a gangster.
No.
He was on a previous show with us, obviously Fight Talk, and one of the nicest, coolest men in the world. But he was saying he's open to promotions with Bellator, with KSW, and I think he said Rising as well. So that'd be deadly as well. Quick one, I just want to blast through. Obviously, this week is a VIP experience on Brave Combat Federation. It goes down in the Copper Box Arena in London. Brave are making their debut back in Europe. They're making their debut in England, but it's an incredible fight card. We got Lucas Martins, the former lightweight champion, taking on Bubba Jenkins, the current featherweight champion, for that featherweight strap. Irish eyes could be smiling. Keane Cowley is in the co-main event, taking on Magic Man Magic Gorinsky. This is an incredible card. Aidan James, the Welsh Dragon. I'm labeling that, and Brave have used it, so sorry, Aidan. But he's taking on Cameron Ellis. Remember Cameron Ellis?
I do. Knocked out
Dylan Shuk. It's an incredible matchup. But again, it's an invite-only special occasion, so it's got.
We didn't get an invite.
I didn't get one. So what I find mad about it is I keep referring to it. It's going to be like, you're in a Bond movie. You know what I mean? And you're a lair, and they bring out the fighters to entertain the villains. But it's going to be an incredible night. I fly out on Wednesday morning for the show. Obviously, I'm in commentary with Kieran Jennings and Phil Campbell.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet up with all the Brave
I look forward to
team.
watching it from home.
But yeah,
obviously
and
me and
that's-
Rob will be at home like all the other peasants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So
Getting
all
this
you
VIP experience at the
all-
UFC, and now this bollocks.
all you
Look at this
peasants can go on to Brave's website.
That's how
and
you sell it.
It's going to be free to air.
That's sweet.
So you can watch the fights. There's 7 fights. Unfortunately, Amir Albazi has pulled
That's
out
a shame.
injured
That
of the
would've
Blaine
been-
O'Driscoll. I was really looking forward
Yeah,
to that
that's
fight.
fine.
Blaine O'Driscoll. But yeah, it's going to be free. So if you go onto Brave's website, you just subscribe. So just bang in your email address, and you can even hit the notification that you don't want to be emailed. But the fights are free. They're some cracking fights. But
Can
it's going
I-
to be a mad experience.
Can I leave you with one thing before we move on to the fight card?
Just want to say one thing
Yeah.
as well, though. Blue are the music that night. So
The band or the
band,
group?
Blue.
Jeez.
Phil's
Next
all
level.
excited about it. Phil Campbell is all excited that Blue are the band, and he's not even like
He's gonna be
joking.
like a girl.
Ironic,
He's
not
saying
even
it's going to be
ironically.
so
He's going to be like
nostalgic.
a
I'm
girl in
Phil,
the commentary box.
you
Yeah.
look like you listen to like I don't know,
Heavy
like,
metal.
yeah,
Slipknot.
Slipknot or something.
I love a bit of
Or-
Slipknot.
Or
Slipknot.
what are they? Chop Suey? Who sings that?
Chop
Chop Suey?
Slipknot.
No, they don't. No,
They
it's
do.
not.
Do you think Chop Suey?
No.
Big Slipknot. Oh no, sorry. Did I say Slipknot?
Yeah.
No. System.
System of a Down.
System.
Of a Down.
Up and down.
Yeah, they play that. Wake up! I had
Wait,
Phil down
yeah.
as that.
Wake
no,
up,
Phil's
grab
there.
a bush and put a bit of makeup.
Sorry seems to be
Yeah.
the hardest word. Like, what's going on there?
Jeez.
But
Yeah.
there you go. What it's I
I
can't
love
wait.
Phil Campbell's pictures from the UFC Dublin as
Yeah,
well.
sorry, Phil. I
They're
shared them.
very
Yeah,
funny.
they were beautiful.
It's going to be an incredible night. Brave Combat Federation 24 in London. Free to watch. It's a Thursday night. What else are you going to be doing on a Thursday? Watching Brave Combat Federation
definitely.
24?
Red Hot Chili Peppers are playing the UFC with the Poirier card, aren't they?
Oh yeah,
They're actually playing on it.
Dana
In
said that
Abu
on an
Dhabi.
interview. Barstool
Yeah.
They
Sports.
look a bit of a show.
Yeah. Just leave it. We'll go to the fight card next, but I want to leave you with this. Colby Covington commented on Jon Jones's situation and said, "A lot of pundits are trying to tarnish the good name of my buddy Jon Jones. Can we take a moment and acknowledge A, at least this time the woman he hit wasn't pregnant, and B, John was mature enough not to strike her with a car at high speed while intoxicated. He's making progress, people." Comment below if you think that was a good tweet by Colby
I like
Covington.
that.
I think people would be on board in
Yeah.
that one for once.
Colby Covington.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Fights this weekend.
Yeah.
Stacked card. It's got a co-main event and a main event, folks. But let's break them down. UFC 240 goes down this weekend. The main event sees Max Holloway finally take on Frankie Edgar. This is very similar to Khabib Ferguson. They've sort of lined up the fight before, but it's going down this weekend. It is Edmonton, Alberta in Canada. What do we think of this main event? There's a couple of interesting storylines to this, I think. You know, a lot of people first of all, should Frankie Edgar be fighting for the featherweight title?
Nah, I don't think so. Like, I mean, I don't have anything against Frankie Edgar, and I'm kind of glad he is getting a shot, because I think for his legacy, I think over the years, yeah. But in terms of current form and what he's done recently, I don't really think so. He beat Cub Swanson last, and that was over a year ago.
Yeah.
It'll be like what, a year and 3 months or something when he steps into the cage. So I don't really think so, but I understand why they done it, and it's also a big fight because Frankie Edgar historically has been a pretty big star for the UFC. Not the biggest star in the world, but, you know, pretty big star. So I understand why they done it, but to be honest, like, not really. I don't think he really deserves it, to be honest. Not right now, anyway.
Yeah, you can argue, like, if you look at it, the Cub Swanson one before that was like, he absolutely got obliterated by Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I seen him, do you know what? It's one of them weird fights. You sort of said it because of his legacy and what he's done. It's one of them fights, for me anyway, that it's like, if that was anybody else except Frankie Edgar, I'd say people would be like, what's he getting that matchup? Even though I was like, Jesus, Frankie Edgar? Yeah, okay. Because it's Frankie Edgar, you sort of accept it. You're talking about a former champion who's done a lot for the company. And he's always game, in fairness. Frankie always goes out to he goes out to win. Yeah,
like, I'm not upset about it, but I just think, you know, there's plenty of other fighters there that probably could have got it. But then if you do dig down into the rankings, maybe if Frankie does deserve it based on the rest of them not really quite being there just yet. So yeah,
I think Volkanovski was the one.
Yeah,
probably should have got it.
Yeah, but he got that mad fucking, what was it? It was a blood disease in the end, was it?
Yeah, although I will tell you how much people like Frankie Edgar when he came out and said, I don't mind Frankie's getting it before me, you know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But that's sort of what I mean, and that's what my opinion is as well, is that it's like, because it's Frankie, like, if that was anyone else in the division, they'd be
nobody
like, he's jumping the queue, like.
Nobody begrudges Frankie.
I had the same argument. I know I've whatever, with me being away, I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But Uriah Faber, people are talking about, he should get the next title shot. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? But then you're like, yeah, it's Uriah Faber.
I know, yeah.
So it's sort of the same thing. So anyway, you don't think he deserves it, but do you think he has a chance against Max Holloway?
No. No. Well, of course he has a chance. It's Frankie Edgar. He's a great fighter, but I think Max Holloway losing that last fight against Dustin Poirier, a lot of people will be giving Frankie Edgar a bit more of a chance than they probably would if that fight didn't happen. Yeah. I just think Max Holloway is better everywhere. Like, I mean, Frankie Edgar's a better wrestler, of course, we know this. But is he really going to be able to wrestle Max Holloway enough to win the fight? I don't think so. He's a great boxer. Is he going to be able to get in that range to really hurt Max Holloway like Dustin Poirier did? I don't think so. I just think Max Holloway, unless he has, I don't know, unless that Poirier fight wasn't just a weight issue, and there was a skill issue there as well. Like, Poirier is very skilled. I just think this is Max Holloway's fight to win. I really do.
But you're talking about as well. I know we're talking about weight and stuff like that. You're talking about Frankie Edgar, former lightweight champion. So you know what I mean. He was the king of the division above. So he had problems. Yes, they're very different
It was
fighters.
also 7 years ago, though, wasn't
Yeah, but sure, it's Frankie Edgar.
it? Yeah, it's Frankie Edgar.
Palms River,
Yeah.
But like for me, obviously, the normal thing comes in here with Frankie Edgar. He's got to be on his feet here. He can't stand still in front of Holloway. He's got to be light on the feet, switch he does, quick footwork, get in, tap the knee for takedowns, threaten takedowns, do all that.
He needs to do it all.
It needs to be prime time Frankie Edgar. He can't, like, when you look at like what Ortega done to him and losses recently for Edgar, Holloway has that ability and more to.
Yeah, you look at the Ortega
to do
one.
that again.
The Ortega one, like when Ortega hurt him on the feet at range.
I can see the loss to Poirier, right? A lot of people put it down to, as I think you hit the nail on the head by saying, Poirier is also a very talented fighter. Like, so there was that, but I think that loss, when you look at it, Holloway sort of thought he could go punch for punch with Poirier, and it might have been that sense of invincibility that he hadn't lost since Conor McGregor,
probably.
And he's been on an absolute tear, and he's looked like he has looked invincible. And then when he moves up, he thought, I'll go blow for blow. And you could see the first exchange when he got hurt. So I could see you might go back to a little bit of the Max Holloway sort of downloading the information that Frankie Edgar gives him, being calm in the first opening round or two.
He was weirdly over aggressive, wasn't
he? And normally when I know the lads in work rip the piss out of me when I say he's like a Muay Thai fighter who takes a couple of, but he does. He starts slow.
He knows he has 5 rounds.
Yeah, and he comes into the fight and he starts. He'll show you feints. He'll show you different things to see how you're reacting. And I think that's what he'll do here with Frankie Edgar.
I was chatting with Sean earlier, and Sean, one thing you mentioned was the weight cut, and it's something that I didn't really consider until you said it to me. Max Holloway has had trouble making that weight, and now he's fought one time at lightweight. Probably didn't keep his weight very low for that, obviously for obvious reasons. But do you think that's a problem?
I don't know whether it's a problem. I think it's something worth considering anyway, for sure. What do you think?
No, just for me on that point is that we had that, but I thought that weight issue we were talking about that more coming into the Brian Ortega fight as well.
Yeah,
and like within the first round, you went, that idea we had about the bad weight cut, let's rip that up and throw that away.
I just think it'll be interesting to see him back at 145, having gone up to 155. You don't really see too many guys go up for one fight then come back down. I know Pettis has done it recently. He's coming back to 155 soon, and that's an even bigger jump. So I think it'll just be interesting to see. Yeah,
and the whole mystique thing, like, some fighters do fight very well with confidence. Like, remember, I'm not saying this is going to happen to Max Holloway, and it's a very different stages in his career, but remember when Anderson Silva finally lost, and it seemed like the decline was really quick. Now, it's a different case, that's age and a lot of other things, but like sometimes that does happen, and it happened with Ronda Rousey as well.
Well, like, I know what you're saying.
Different stage. I'm not comparing it.
Ronda Rousey, very different as well, because she was a one-trick pony.
They're all different.
They all learned the trick.
Yeah,
but like Max Holloway, for me, he's 27 years of age. He's only entering the prime of his career now, and like he's not really been like, when you look at the Poirier fight, yes, but when you look at his career, he's never really been like, taking serious damage that you could question that is coming into play and affecting him. And
he wasn't even knocked out in the Poirier fight.
No,
he was.
Wait, he took a lot of concussive headshots.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't knocked out flat or something like that.
I'd say he had a sulfate in the next morning.
Yeah,
but Holloway for me is. Do you know what I actually think? And I know it sounds stupid, and I've used this analogy loads of times. I'll probably use it when I'm calling Keane's fight at the weekend. Sometimes the secret ingredient to success is a little hint of defeat, and for me, there you might get Max Holloway. That could be humbling, that, and I don't mean that in a bad way that he was overconfident or whatever, but maybe he just thought he was invincible. So that defeat to Poirier could be humbling, and he'll want to come out here and make a statement. My only thing is, I hope he doesn't think that he's going to take Frankie. I don't think he ever thinks like that, Holloway. But you can't take Frankie Edgar. You're talking about a former champion, so like.
He's still
I'd imagine Max Holloway is a big favourite in this one, Sean.
Yeah, he's 2-9, and Frankie's 11-4. So honestly, I can't see past Max unless Dustin Poirier turns up in place of Frankie Edgar. I don't see. I don't see Frankie getting
big
a W.
Big 10 years in the difference as well.
90-10 as well.
Height difference, reach difference. Do you know what I mean? Everything is against Frankie Edgar there and on the stat side of things. But look, you don't win fights in stats. You win it when you get into the cage.
Exactly,
but I'm going Max Holloway.
It is a fun
and Holloway's
fight,
only ever been Edgar's only ever been finished. It was the Ortega.
Yeah.
I see the second one coming this Saturday.
I kind of do, and it kind of sounds like I don't like the fight because I'm like, nah, he's not going to win, and I don't feel it's that competitive. But I'm still interested interested in it. I'm still
Yeah.
very interested because I am interested to see if Frankie can do something. And he
Yeah.
might be able to do something because he
Yeah.
has some skills.
I tell you, get the takedown, and Frankie
Yeah.
manages to get it to the canvas.
Yeah.
Because we don't see that much from Max Holloway
Off his back
on his
now.
back anymore.
Yeah.
Just people don't get him there. He's excellent takedown defense. But for me, it's going to be punches and punches, almost like the Diaz style of tap boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Like the Aldo fight.
building it up that way, yeah. And then just the efficiency will just grow as the fight goes on, and I can see him ladder rounds going into round 3 and 4, getting Frankie out of there. So
Yeah.
Max Holloway TKO victory for
Yeah.
me.
Max Holloway all day and twice on Sundays for me.
Yeah. Bless his best.
Oh man, I was looking at Sean, waiting for him to say blessed is best. Go on.
right as well.
The blessed is best, baby.
I was waiting for it, and then Rob dives in with it. So yeah, a big important fight for Max Holloway as well,
Yeah.
coming off the loss. That is to be said for the co-main event as well. Cris Cyborg nearly made an ass of that against Felicia Spencer. Cyborg, it's a weird one. She said something there about the best bantamweight or best featherweight in the world is in such and such a different division or whatever. But the featherweight division is certainly a weird one in the UFC for the one. It was almost like the
Wait, the
division was
is it?
built.
Is it a division?
It was, yes. This
Is it?
was
Oh.
built for Cyborg. So if you were to sign with the UFC now in the women's featherweight division, you're instantly in the top 5 featherweight ranked
Top
in the
3.
world. But yeah, Cyborg, Felicia Spencer. This is
Yeah.
a big one for Cyborg, and again,
Very big one, yeah.
as we talked about earlier, fuel added to the fire with Dana White sort of saying he doesn't want to sign to fight Amanda Nunes again. But
To be fair, I wouldn't want to sign to fight Amanda Nunes
I
again.
don't know. I like, for me, it's going to be a crazy fight if they do fight again, because Cyborg's not going to. What I just said about Dustin Poirier, about he came in and thought he could just walk through. Max Holloway could just walk through Dustin Poirier. I think Chris Cyborg thought she would be too
I do
strong
agree.
for
I
Amanda
agree.
Nunes as well.
Because she's been too strong for everybody.
For everybody, and then when she got clocked, her reaction
a punch is
was
a punch,
to
like.
fight back. Like, do you know what I mean? So she got caught. But yeah, Felicia Spencer 7-0 in her career, so vastly less experienced than Cyborg. But is it going to be the return of Chris Cyborg?
I think so. Like, Felicia Spencer looked really good in her last fight, and she beat somebody that I don't think a lot of people thought she was going to be. And maybe a lot of people would say that Megan Anderson has been exposed previously, and there's a debate about that. But I thought she looked good. But the only problem is that I just don't think she fits. Like, she's a big girl, but she doesn't really fit well into this division. I mean, she doesn't, like, if you look at Cyborg is a crazy athlete. And I don't see that with Felicia Spencer right now. She's called a prodigy or something like that, or the phenom. The phenom, like female, is it? And apparently she's been like tipped to be an excellent fighter since a very young age. She's been coming up. So like, she definitely has skills, and she has striking. She has a traditional background as well. So you're going to have these really awkward strikes. If you watch her in Invicta fights, she throws these head kicks and you don't see them coming. So like, she of course can catch Cyborg, and we don't know what that chin is like now after being cracked pretty badly by Amanda Nunes, and she's getting older. And maybe Cyborg, there's a little bit of, she didn't really fight anyone that good, and she finally ran into someone that good and was beaten. We don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think she's fought some good girls, but I just think Cyborg will be too big, too strong. I think she's going to fight smart, and she'll probably get a finish mid, like 2 or 3, like something like that.
Yeah. I'm sort of the same. Again, it's the division was it was sort of built for Cyborg in that way, and the spanner was thrown in the works. That spanner being called Amanda Nunes. He just looks on an insane level. But yeah, I just Cyborg again. Felicia Spencer, she hasn't fought the girls that Cyborg would have fought to that level. A lot of her career has been Invicta, so you can't say it's a good level. But yeah, I just can't see any other outcome than the return of Cris Cyborg. But it'd be interesting to see her Twitter tweets, because her Twitter tweets are very strange lately. Hey Twitter, what's your favourite video to watch on YouTube? What the fuck, Cris
Clearly
Cyborg?
our manager
What?
running that one.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I don't doubt that Felicia Spencer is and will go on to beat some very good level fighters, but I think at the minute in that featherweight division there's levels to it. With there's Amanda and Cris Cyborg, and then there's sort of everyone else a level below, and I think we'll see that on this weekend. And it's reflected in the odds as well. Cris Cyborg is 1-7 and Felicia Spencer 4-1.
She's also a really good grappler, and Cyborg has been very, very difficult to take down. So, and she doesn't seem like a big puncher either. Seems like a tough fight. It's 90-10 as well. Both main event and co-main event is 90-10 on Tapology.
Wow.
Must be fun trying to sell that pay-per-view.
And those are the 2 only great fights on the card.
Yeah, I was
actually, now the next fight is fun.
I was actually looking through it. And the next fight is Geoff Neal against Nico Price. Price coming off an excellent win as well. Last time out against Tim Means. I only stands out in my memory because I picked it. You all went the other way.
Jesus, remember something.
Good to have you back.
I only remember that, like, because I get them so wrong so often that when they go right, they're embedded. But yeah, what do you think of this one?
I think this is a tough fight to call. Nico Price, I think any Nico Price fight is a bit of a tough fight to call because the way he fights is a bit mad. He's a bit of a crazy fighter. He throws some weird techniques. But I think when he fights a really good traditional style striker, he has trouble. And we saw that against Al Hassan twice. Or was it once? No, he only fought him once, yeah. But it was a crazy knockout. And Vicente Luque was the other one where I thought Vicente Luque looked great on the feet and then got it to the floor and won. And Geoff Neal, if you watch his fight against Frank Camacho, that was just a masterclass. And the knockout was scary. So I think Nico Price can probably land something weird because that's what he does. But I just think Geoff Neal is a better traditional striker. We'll keep it at range. We'll keep it on the feet and avoid the madness that is Nico Price. Yeah, and get a win somehow.
Nico Price is going to get damage tattooed across his chest as well, because he's sort of one of them fighters as well that he needs to be wobbled and in trouble, and then he just throws.
He just gets mad then.
Weird, like he has like a looping right hand that just cracks and like he just throws it. And he looks like he's on the verge of getting.
He won by hammer fists from the bottom against Randy. Yeah, Randy Brown.
Yeah, Randy Brown.
That's a good win now. Randy Brown's looking good.
Yeah.
Odds are interesting in this one, considering you said it was a tough one to call. Geoff Neal is 3-10 and Nico Price is 11-5. I'll tell you what, for the second pay-per-view in a month for the UFC, it's not a card I'd like to be promoting as the second pay-per-view in a month, especially in the US. Like, that's the top 3 fights in the card, all have quite big favourites.
Yeah, 75 to 25 to Topology as well for Neal. So a lot of people are on Neal. I think it's a good fight. Like, it's well matched.
If I was backing with your money, I'd back Neal.
Yeah, you go back with someone else's money.
But yeah, if I was backing with your money, I would back Neal. But
if I was backing with my money, I wouldn't.
No, I'm not backing. Yeah, I'm not backing. But like, because Nico Price is one of them fighters that like
he's just a weirdo.
Yeah, like he is a weirdo. You could be watching no fight. No offense whatsoever. He could be winning a fight for 14 minutes or losing a fight for 14 minutes and 36 seconds, and then boom, wins the fight. Like, what the fuck happened? So it's a weird one. But yeah, Geoff Neal, I think he's the more crisp technique style striker. That you gotta polished. Yes, polished technique. His precision is precise. But yes, he for me, yes. But Price has that type of striking that you can't really train for.
Yeah,
because it's like Price doesn't really know.
A bit like Tony Ferguson in a way.
Yeah,
you know, a bit like that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll throw a right hook, but I won't throw it like any other right hook you've ever seen in your life.
Wing it like you've never seen in your life. Yeah, there's a lot of guys. There's quite a few guys like that.
It's a fun fight though.
Yeah,
it is a fun fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going Geoff Neal myself.
Geoff Neal is all right.
Yeah.
3 favourites. There's your bet.
We're going all the same on every single fight here. Oh,
yeah,
this could look bad.
Over Owen Mercier and our man
Sayukin.
Yeah, Sayukin. Mercier, just the tash alone makes you want to pick him, doesn't it?
The Canadian gangster. Yeah, I like this fight as well. Sayukin put on an incredible
That's such
performance.
A pride name, isn't it?
It is,
Pride.
Yeah. He put on a really good performance against Islam Makhachev in his last fight. I believe that was late notice, and Makhachev had tons of trouble with him. He could barely take him down, and Sayukin's striking looked good, and I thought it was a clear decision for Makhachev, but I thought Sayukin put in a phenomenal performance over Mercier. I don't know, there's something about him. I don't like the way he fights that much. I'm not going to say boring, but I'll say boring. Yeah. His striking's a bit weird. He doesn't seem that confident on the feet. His grappling is really good. But like if Makhachev had problems getting Sayukin down, I think Mercier is going to have problems getting him down.
I'm going to go losses as well.
Yeah, Mercier. I'm going to go Sayukin to win. Decision, maybe. Could be a finish, but decision.
Yeah, it's short notice as well when you look at the trouble that was given. Short notice. People underestimate short notice so much. Like when you take, and it's like when the UFC. That was his UFC debut. I'm right in saying that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So when you get offered, you've seen it for so many fighters, they get the short notice. They've been waiting for the call, and it comes in short notice. They go and take it, and the loss comes.
Have to like cut about 25 pounds to make this weight class or something.
Yeah, but Redzer. But Mercier, I agree with you. He's the way he goes on with the sandals and the dodgy shorts.
I think that's funny though.
Yeah, but you think he's gonna be, you know what I mean? He's outside the cage. He's a bit of a personality. You think he's gonna, and then he comes in, and it's like it's like reading the beginner's guide to
be Tyson Fury-esque.
To be. Get off Tyson. He won by fucking knockout the last time, Sean.
Against literally the man who picked up my bins this week. Anyway,
I tell you what, don't break into Sean's gap or whatever. The bin men are fucking boxers, and the plumbers are fucking boxers. No, so I'm going the same myself. Pick here, and I'm gonna go decision though. I'm not gonna say the finish here. Yeah, Mercier is hard to put away.
He is hard to put away, and he's a good grappler.
Yeah. So
this one's a bit close on the odds. Sarukin is 1-2, and Aubin Mercier is 6-4.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
You can tell how much attention the bookies pay to MMA here, because they have Brian Ortega and Zabit priced up for this card. It's a bit of a tease, isn't it? Considering the rest of the card.
Jocko against Mark and Barriel, another Frenchman on it in the middleweight division. This potential, it's an awful card. Really.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that.
Is this pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's the second pay-per-view this month.
Just you see, actually talking about pay-per-view and bringing it back to BT Sports. See, BT are gone to Sky. I know did you talk about this when I was away?
What? We talked about them pay-per-view over here.
Air is gone, has lost BT, so it's gone back to Sky Sports. So you now have to subscribe to Sky Sports, and Sky Sports have obviously the box office or whatever as well. But Jesus, best of luck if you're trying to sell this one in Ireland.
Did you get unsubscribed from? No, this one isn't pay-per-view in Ireland. The next one is pay-per-view.
No, I know. I'm saying if it was
pay-per-view in America.
The next pay-per-view in Ireland is the Abu Dhabi card.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Flintstones.
I think we should just make a pick on this one really quickly, because time is running away from us.
I'll be like the Simpsons, and I'll watch it on a live stream, because that's what I'll Abu Dhabi do.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, it's good to be back. Yeah, Jocko and what do you think, Rob?
I'll pick Jocko.
Favourite back.
Well, is he favourite?
I think he's favourite for a reason in this one.
Good win over Amadovsky. 3-fight losing streak before that, but all good guys. Branch Hall, Tavares, and Marc Andre Barriot. Wasn't that impressed with his UFC debut, so we'll just go with Jocko. But who knows?
Look, he's a Canadian fighter on a Canadian card, isn't he?
Yeah, we'll go with him.
So that's what I'm sort of looking at there, Jocko. Jocko decision.
Yeah. The accumulator on the 5 favourites in the main card.
Jocko's not Canadian.
His opponent is.
Alright, that's like Jocko's not Canadian. Jesus, Christoph.
Polish.
The accumulator on the 5 favourites on the main card is less than 4-1.
Holy shit!
That tells you all you need to know. It's a no from me.
No from me, dog.
Stick your 20 quid on black on roulette there.
Yeah, honestly.
You better crack out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a top heavy card with the main event. There's nothing really jumping off anywhere there. But again, this is the problem with the UFC having such a big roster. They all have to fight at some stage.
Yeah.
But
let's move on. We'll go to educating young Sean and continue.
So it's that time of the week where Sean gets the school workout, and he does a little bit of educating young Sean. This is where we give Sean fights, and he looks at them. So I got to be honest here. we do a little preparation coming into the show, and as I came in here, I forgot about educating young Sean. So Rob, as we were setting up, said, "Have you got your fight for Sean?" And I said, "Yeah." And I'd done a deep dive, and I came up and thought, "Oh, what a fight! What an absolute fight! I'm gonna give him Tim Sylvia, Randy Couture." We've recorded the majority of the show now, so this is the final hurdle of the show. So as we're sitting here, the lads are talking, and Rob said, "What did you think of the fight?" And I said, "Oh, what fight did you give him?" And he says, "Tim Sylvia." So now I'm getting shit for not watching last week's show because I wasn't fucking here.
One of our own members doesn't watch the show.
Yeah. I clicked on it so we got the view, you know. So last week's show, what did you think of Tim Sylvia and Randy Couture?
Great fight, really enjoyed it. Rob advised me to watch the build up on Fight Pass if they had it. They did have it. The narrative was really interesting, just with the age of Randy Couture. What is he, 42, 43 coming into this? And Tim Sylvia is obviously really fucking looking really good at the time.
And he was really large.
Yeah, a bit. The size difference was insane.
Pounds,
Size difference was insane. Randy Couture has won weight or belts at 3 different divisions. Am I right? Middleweight? No.
No,
Middle.
No, just light and
Light.
heavy.
Oh,
but
okay.
they
In
did
3 different
say,
organisations.
they said 3 belts at 3 different weight classes or
Yeah.
something during the
Yeah,
build-up,
they
but
did.
no, that was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's obviously won a belt at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
And I thought the narrative was great as well. As Randy Couture had actually retired
Yeah, he
after
retired.
losing to Chuck Liddell, and
Yeah.
he came back at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Man, he looked phenomenal. He put a beat down on Tim
Right from
Sylvia.
the beginning as well. landed that big
From the start,
overhand
he
right.
kept landing
Dropped
the overhand right and the left hook. The left hook was there all day.
Yeah.
It was mad. He looked phenomenal
Yeah.
at 43. Like, I don't know now, but I'm not saying that.
They're all on it, Sean. They're all on it.
What are you insinuating?
I'm not saying
Steroids.
that.
Steroids.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and he done like a Diaz type thing. They're all on it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's
Tim-
terrible. We can't
Tim
say that about
Sylvia was
Captain
100%
America.
on steroids as well. Anyway,
Did you
so-
say, have you Googled Tim, while you're here, Google Tim Sylvia now.
Right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Right now. Google image him.
Yeah, he does a live stream.
Yeah,
Like,
do it live. Do it live. Google Tim Sylvia. He spells it Sylvaa. I know that because I just searched him for my fight today. And now do
Okay.
images.
2019 even.
Yeah, do Tim Sylvia 2019.
There he is. There he is back in the day.
He wouldn't be fighting in
1990.
China.
209?
No, definitely not.
He wouldn't be
Here we
fighting in
go.
China with them tattoos.
So,
There you go.
a little
Jesus.
click at Tim there.
He's a big dude.
Tim likes the cake now.
Tim Sylvia, salty Halliburton. Okay.
Yeah, he's,
Whatever.
Plenty of
he's big.
salt.
It's weird. You will find a proper picture, but he's gone huge. I'd say he's about 400
Is he
pounds.
in a wheelchair or is that just
No, just the way he's sitting
Alright.
on the chair.
Size of the
Look at
dude.
the. But it's, do you ever like? Don't get me wrong. Tim Sylvia is a legit mixed martial artist.
Yeah.
But he just looks like he has pillow hands there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Man, he is big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back into the Google images there. See, can we find one of them in competition? Because he fought one fight where he was absolutely huge. There he is in a wheelchair.
I was
Can't
right.
we can't laugh at that.
No, I'm not. I'm just. It's a rock.
Could we
That's
just
probably
say as
after a
well,
fight.
though, his
After the
wife,
fight, yeah. Who?
Tim oh no, sorry, Randy
Randy.
Couture's
Randy
wife.
Couture's
Yeah,
wife,
they
right.
showed her a couple of times in the broadcast.
There's the classic Tim Sylvia with the
Yeah.
L.
The hat.
Cyborg.
Ah, the L,
He
yeah.
got done in that fight early as
Yeah.
well, didn't he?
He's got that Will Fleury type beard as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
He was known for wearing his jeans and a t-shirt if he was cornering someone and he'd have the UFC belt on.
Is that it
He used to,
there?
he used to
Man,
go to
he looks
he used to
big.
go to restaurants with his UFC belt.
Yeah.
Now. Just carried around with him.
To be fair, I respect that. I
yeah.
respect that.
It's bringing everywhere.
Right, so next week's homework, Rob. What fight have we got for Sean?
so
Sorry, out of
Oh, yeah, shit, yeah.
out of 5
Jesus,
championship
I forgot.
rounds.
I'll give that one a 4.5. Randy, that was the first I'd seen him. Have you given me Randy before?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
No.
That was the first I'd seen him. Really impressed at 43 years of age.
Yeah.
42.
But he got into the sport, so like
with
insane.
with that fight as well, it loses a bit because like when I say watch the build up, you know he's gonna win because it's hardly like he's coming back from retirement and then loses and
Yeah.
it's a you know he was gonna win like so kind of takes away. I have a Bellator fight for you. Hopefully you haven't seen this one.
How is he gonna watch a Bellator fight on UFC Fight Pass?
He'll find it. I'll give him an MMA core fucking yoke. It is Eddie Alvarez versus Michael Chandler.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was from Bellator 58.
Okay.
I'll get you a
Definitely.
link. Don't worry. I'll hook you up.
I know a few spots. Don't worry. About that. It's fine.
Dark web.
Yeah.
My fight, I love doing this to Rob now. Will Rob get this? You genuinely blow me away with how you do this, right?
All right.
So my fight's from 2009.
Randy Couture, Tim Sylvia.
UFC 104. The main event of the evening.
UFC 104.
104.
Can I get the weight class?
light heavyweight main event?
Look at his head. You can just see him thinking.
Was it's ranked on Tapology as the 5th best MMA fight of the year,
Ta-dum, ta-dum,
2009,
ta-dum.
and the 8th greatest light heavyweight fight of
Championship
all time.
fight.
Mm-hmm.
Who was champ back then? Oh, I was trying to get logical with this one.
Ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum.
I can't remember who was champ back then.
All right, we're giving up.
Yeah.
Machida
Machida.
and Mauricio
The gun.
Shogun Hua.
One.
Yeah.
All right.
So this went
Great
down,
stuff.
as I said, in October 2009. Machida Shogun, phenomenal fight.
Great stuff.
I
You know what I
will
was
be
gonna say?
expecting nothing but 5.
I was going to say
championship
Shogun
rounds.
Chuck.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, you would have been wrong.
I know. I'm just saying. I just wanted to prove that I wasn't
Because
going
it's
to get it.
Lyoto Machida and Mauricio
I know, but
Shogun.
Shogun's involved. Similar time.
He is,
frame.
yeah. Well
Right.
done. Sean, I've missed this.
Yeah, because you weren't watching.
Weird and wonderful news.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so first up, there was a pay-per-view boxing card on in England this weekend. Wasn't great, but we do have this finish
Was it
from...
full of bin men?
Thereabouts.
Plumbers.
Yeah, bad quality video. I apologise for that. It was the best one I could find. But here we have Derek Del Boy Chisora, perennial sort of contender, where he absolutely melts someone. So just eats that.
Oh, body.
It's bad, innit?
Jesus Christ, it was like a demolition of a building. You know the way a building just collapses on itself?
He was like a snail that died on a wall and just slid down it. Look.
Jesus, that's power, isn't it?
Mm.
He's just sitting down on his shots.
Oh my God.
Coming back. Jesus Christ.
That was pretty grim.
It's bad, innit?
He's like a building collapsing on himself.
Spilker is okay. He did get up and walk out of the ring, but he was down for a good few minutes. It was nasty.
He was like a snail dying on a wall.
Wow.
We'll watch it one more time.
Look at the ref. I know he's grand. He's alright.
He eats those first couple of shots.
Look at the show one more time. Look at the ref. He was thinking about stepping in and he's seen Chisora winding up. Watch.
Yeah,
We'll
protect
watch
the
it.
fighter at all times, you know what I mean?
Like, watch, you'll see him. He sort of hesitates. Now, well, maybe I just copped it wrong, but let's have a
And
look.
then
Watch. Look, I'll step in. Oh, no,
then
wait.
he's like, I'm not-
He proper waits,
Yeah.
doesn't he? That big hook lands.
he's like, I'm not eating that one
Fuck
myself.
that salt. I'm not eating that.
That would have knocked the diggy bow off him.
So
I didn't know where you were going there.
UFC Sacramento was on this weekend. We spoke about it last week, Rob. Noel didn't listen, so we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Ray Ball got a W. And there was some great work by the cameraman. They got Ray
That's
Bog's
very
wife
nice.
and kid in there.
lovely.
It was cool.
That was
It was very nice.
Rayborg's kid has been through a lot, hasn't he?
Yeah, a lot.
I think just like in and out of
Ray
hospital,
Bog said
like,
Ray Bog said in his interview, he was like, that's for all the
That's
neonatal ICU parents out there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
that was really good.
Lovely. As well, while you're on that, before you go on to the next one, actually, see John Gooden's post during the week about his little girl.
Yeah.
His little girl had to have heart surgery.
Yeah, I'd seen John Gooden tweet about it with Ray Bog as well. Yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
excellent. So delighted.
Well
Good.
done, Ray
I
Bog.
love a good news story like that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Rob tweeted this one on our Twitter page. If you didn't see it, go follow it.
Tension Nasakawa, sorry.
Oh,
Rolling Thunder.
Sick. Absolutely sick.
It's a shame it got finished with the cut and it wasn't a clean knockout, but
Yeah.
still technique.
Fair play to you, man, not getting finished for that.
It's a shame, isn't it, that people just know Tension as the guy who lost to Floyd Mayweather in an
Yeah.
exhibition boxing bout, because he's a fucking phenomenal kickboxer.
He's gone on a bit of a tear.
he's saying
again
it's
since.
not a knockout. If that's on the chin, he's getting knocked out. It's
Yeah,
right, in the- it's right in the
that's fair.
dome.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just
No, it's
beside
still
the temple.
legitimate. It's just,
Before you click on to the next one, actually, did you see the clip? There's a clip going around of Burmese bare knuckle boxing. You see this?
No.
Oh my God!
I'll try to find something next week.
Go look for this, right?
Yeah.
So basically, what it is, it's Burmese bare knuckle boxing.
Mhm.
But if you get knocked out, your corner have 2 minutes to resuscitate you.
Ah, fuck
Fuck
that.
off.
Now this guy
Fuck
gets
that bollocks.
knocked fucking out. He's like hits the canvas like a corpse,
Yeah.
and is looking up to the sky, like gone, like
Like
out,
a man.
gone, right?
Eyes in the back of his
His
head.
corner
Joe.
come in, pull him up, sit him on a stool, pour water all over him, whatever. They've 2 minutes. He comes back out in the fight and finishes you, man.
Ah, fuck that.
Jesus Christ! I don't know if I want to watch
Not
that.
good for the LCTE.
A
No.
meme to finish up. I thought it was very funny.
Goalie. Teacher, you can't hear.
I can hear. I can hear it.
Ah, brilliant, yeah. So it says, for anyone watching it, it's Goldie and Joe Rogan reacting the way they do, and it says, teacher, you can't hear pictures, and me showing the picture of Goldie and Rogan.
Yeah,
Goldie's definitely going,
Goldie.
just like that!
Oh, slept him. He slept him.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, very funny picture. I enjoyed
Well
that
done.
one.
Yeah, excellent stuff. That is, it's so true. You can see that. It's like what's the character's name from The Simpsons? Troy McClure.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's go, you just read this in my voice.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
Brilliant.
Lads, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be back. And if you haven't seen it just over my head, someone wrote The King is back. I'm
Oh,
not,
Jesus, yeah. I wonder who that was.
I'm not too sure who handwriting is. Just over my left shoulder, it says The King is back, and an arrow that seems to be pointing at me. Sean, I have to report some news.
Yeah.
I got messages from multiple people
Mm-hmm.
to say that you've done a fantastic job in my absence.
Deadly.
It's about time that you're taking off the little webcam in the corner and you're getting your own full camera and a hot chair.
Deadly.
So this comes
boy
from,
things.
unfortunately, my brother. But one that I think you'll think is cool is Yusuf Nazir, who is the
Mhm.
matchmaker of Brave Combat Federation, was one of the many messages
Deadly.
He was one of them that was saying you're fucking class.
That's deadly. Thanks very much, Yusuf.
Will Flurry said he's going to start wanting copyright money for sharing his Spud Life stories.
Brilliant.
Will's back on the Spud Life actually this week. I just seen that as I was coming in.
Is that an indication that Will Flurry's back in camp?
Let's hope so.
Spuz mean yes.
27th of September, brave. Bellator. This has been A Few Good Fights, episode 21. Yes, I actually had to click back onto the rundown of the show to see it was 21, but I done it, and I told you. Did I need to? No. Did I do it anyway? Yes. So okay, my babies. People will get this if they listen to Chris D'Elia's podcast. If they don't, they just think I'm weird.
Yeah.
But big shout out to Chuck Mindenhall from The Athletic coming on and always giving us his time. So go and check out Chuck Mindenhall. If you haven't subscribed already to The Athletic, go and do it. He's one of the coolest guys in MMA, and they are gathering an army of the best riders in mixed martial arts.
Lots of sports as well. Very good coverage.
Yeah.
Plenty of stuff.
Very good.
Robert, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Sean, thanks. And
Yes,
to you, just hit your little subscribe and ring that bell if you haven't already. This has been A Few Good Fights. The King is back. See you 22, and I'm probably not going to be here. So apparently if you press this button somewhere here, it subscribes and you get all the notifications for the show. So hit that button there.
You have to click the bell though to get the notifications down the bottom.
Make sure you hit it, and they get the ringer things because Rob didn't know. So it's the button there or there.
It's somewhere roughly around